Emma Carter noticed things most people ignored. And that was how the whole situation began on a quiet Thursday evening in their small suburban neighborhood outside Portland. She was washing dishes when she glanced out the kitchen window and saw Lily Morgan, their new neighbor, standing alone on her porch with her arms wrapped tightly around herself. Lily looked lost in a way that made Emma pause. She wasn't dramatic or loud about her sadness. She simply carried it like a heavy coat she couldn't take off. Emma had seen glimpses of her during the week, always polite, always soft-spoken, but always with that same distant look, like someone trying to stay calm while life shook under her feet. Emma felt something shift inside her, a strange mix of worry and curiosity. She didn't know Lily well, but she felt drawn to her, the same way she sometimes felt drawn to abandoned plants at garden stores, like she needed to help before something wilted for good. Behind her, her husband Michael sat at the table with his laptop open, reviewing work emails. He was steady, warm, and logical, the type of man who rarely noticed emotional details unless someone spoke them out loud. But he always listened when Emma pointed something out. Emma dried her hands slowly and said, "She looks upset again." Michael looked up, followed her gaze, and nodded. "New city, new life. Maybe she's overwhelmed," he said, almost as if trying to shrug it off. But Emma couldn't shrug it off. Something about Lily's loneliness felt too familiar, like a memory she didn't want to relive. In her 20s, Emma had moved across the country alone, and she remembered what it felt like to hide tears behind a brave smile. She knew that feeling, and seeing it on someone else's face made her chest tighten. "I think we should check on her," Emma said. Michael blinked. He asked, not resisting, just surprised. "I mean, maybe you should," Emma said, unsure why the words came out that way. She wasn't jealous or insecure. It wasn't that. It was more like she sensed Lily needed a calm voice, and Michael had a gift for that. His presence made people relax without trying. "You're easier for people to open up to," Emma added. "She might feel safer around you." Michael raised an eyebrow. "You sure you don't want to come with me?" "I think she needs someone steady," Emma said softly. "Someone who doesn't feel like another overwhelmed woman." She wasn't sure why that explanation made sense, but it did. She felt something she couldn't name pulling her toward this moment. Michael hesitated only a second before standing. "Okay, I trust your gut." He put on his jacket and walked across the street. Emma stepped closer to the window without meaning to. She watched in silence as Michael approached Lily. At first, Lily didn't even notice him. She sat on the porch step, staring at the ground, rubbing her temples. But when she heard Michael say her name, her head snapped up in surprise. Emma saw embarrassment flicker in Lily's expression, like she hated being caught in a moment of weakness. But then something softer followed relief. Emma could tell from the way Lily's shoulders dropped just a little. Michael sat next to her, not too close, just enough to show he wasn't leaving until he made sure she was okay. They talked for several minutes, and the entire time Emma couldn't look away. Lily kept brushing her hair behind her ear nervously, and Michael kept nodding in that calm, encouraging way he had. Emma couldn't hear their words, but she could see the effect. Lily relaxed. She even smiled weakly, though it looked like it cost her energy to do so. Emma felt something warm stir inside her. Not romantic, but something she couldn't quite explain. It felt like watching two puzzle pieces slide into place, unexpectedly, quietly, naturally. When Michael finally stood to leave, Lily reached out and lightly touched his arm, thanking him. It wasn't dramatic, but the small gesture made Emma inhale slowly. She didn't know why it affected her, but it did. Michael walked back across the street, and Emma quickly stepped away from the window so he wouldn't know she'd been watching the whole time. "She okay?" she asked, trying to sound casual. "She's trying," Michael said, removing his jacket. "She's more alone than she expected. She doesn't know anyone in the city yet." Emma nodded, picturing Lily sitting alone in a quiet house full of unpacked boxes. "Did she seem comfortable talking to you?" she asked. "Yeah," Michael said slowly. "But she wondered why you didn't come." Emma's stomach tightened. "What did you tell her? That you were worried about her? That you didn't want her to feel alone?" Emma exhaled, relieved. Michael continued. She asked if we could help her with something this weekend. She didn't say what, just that she needs support. Emma looked toward Lily's house. The porch light was still glowing softly, like a signal waiting for an answer. Maybe we should, Emma whispered. Are you sure? Michael asked gently. Emma nodded, even as her heartbeat quickened. I think we're meant to help her. She didn't say the rest, that she felt something unfolding, something she didn't fully understand but couldn't ignore. She only knew this was the beginning of something that would change all three of them in ways none of them could see yet. The weekend arrived with the sun hiding behind thick gray clouds, casting a muted glow over the quiet neighborhood. Emma and Michael had agreed to help Lily, though neither fully knew what that would entail. Emma had spent Friday night feeling a mixture of anticipation and unease. She had convinced herself that this was about kindness, about helping someone who needed support. But as she watched Michael leave to meet Lily that morning, a flutter of curiosity and something deeper tugged at her chest. She stayed home doing small chores, pretending to occupy herself. But her mind kept returning to the little porch light across the street, imagining the scene unfolding. Emma didn't know why, but she wanted to watch, not intrude, just to witness the connection that was forming between them. She had always been drawn to subtle emotional moments, to the way people opened up when they felt safe. Meanwhile, Mikhail arrived at Lily's house with a careful calm. She opened the door with a tentative smile, like she had been rehearsing the greeting all morning. The house smelled faintly of fresh paint and cardboard, a mix of new beginnings and raw edges. Lily seemed nervous, but grateful. And Michael immediately noticed the little things, how her hands trembled slightly when she held a box, how her eyes lingered on the empty corners as if seeing not walls but spaces needing care. He offered to help her carry boxes and arrange furniture, keeping the conversation light but warm, asking questions about her work, her move, small details that showed he was present. Lily responded, gradually relaxing, laughing softly at a shared joke about stubborn furniture that wouldn't fit in the corner. Michael noticed the way her shoulders loosened, the way she seemed less like someone carrying a burden and more like someone reclaiming her space across the street. Emma watched quietly through the window. She felt a strange combination of pride and suspense. Pride because Michael was patient, attentive, effortlessly kind. Suspense because she couldn't tell what this would lead to, though she didn't want it to be dramatic or dangerous. It was simply about watching someone open up, about witnessing trust grow. As Michael helped Lily adjust the couch, she paused and looked at him, her expression soft but serious. I didn't expect anyone to care, she said quietly. Michael smiled gently. Sometimes people notice even when you think they don't, he replied. Emma felt a subtle ache in her chest at that moment. A mixture of tenderness and longing, not for him, not for Lily, but for the delicate emotional spaces that were now opening between them. She realized she had underestimated how meaningful this simple act of helping could feel. Hours passed, and Michael guided Lily through organizing her living room, offering small, practical advice while letting her make her own decisions. Lily asked questions, laughed, and occasionally sighed in relief. Emma could see the transformation even from her window. She noticed how Lily's movements became lighter, how she began to place personal items, photos, and a few small plants around the room. The space was becoming a home, and Michael was helping her find it without ever taking over. Emma felt an emotional swell watching it happen, a mixture of admiration, protectiveness, and a subtle, inexplicable curiosity about what she was witnessing. At one point, Lily paused and sat on the couch, looking exhausted but content. Michael took a seat across from her. I know it's a lot, he said, but you're doing it. You're creating something for yourself. Lily nodded, eyes glistening with unshed tears. Emma noticed a quiet humility in the way she accepted encouragement, a vulnerability that didn't demand anything in return. Michael continued to speak softly, offering advice, listening carefully, sharing small anecdotes about moving and adjusting to new places. Lily laughed again, a sound that was unguarded and genuine, and Emma felt a sense of relief wash over her. She hadn't realized how much she wanted this scene to unfold to people finding trust and comfort. By late afternoon, the room was transformed. Lily had arranged her furniture, unpacked some personal items, and even made a small shelf for her books. Michael stood, stretching, and Lily walked him to the door. She hesitated, then smiled softly. "Thank you," she said, and it wasn't just polite words. It was gratitude, warmth, and acknowledgement all at once. Michael nodded, replying calmly, "Anytime. Just remember, it's your space. You're doing the work. I'm just here for support." Emma watched the subtle exchange, feeling her own heart beat faster at the understated intimacy of trust and care. As Michael crossed back to his own house, Emma opened the door silently. "How did it go?" she asked, voice steady but curious. Michael's expression was calm but reflective. "She's settling in," he said. "She's more confident than this morning, more herself. She's grateful, and I think she believes she can do this." Emma nodded, feeling a quiet satisfaction. But beneath that, there was a flutter of something more complicated, an unspoken realization that helping someone else could stir emotions, even when there was no danger. No romance, just care, attention, and trust. That evening, Emma watched the porch across the street once more. Lily had a small lamp on, and she was arranging books on the newly made shelf. The way she moved, the quiet focus, the way she smiled to herself. It was almost like watching a fragile flower finally bloom. Emma realized then that she didn't just care about Lily's progress. She cared about the connection, about witnessing someone find light again. And she understood with a quiet certainty that the next step, whatever that might be, was coming. And she would watch it unfold, heart open, ready to feel every subtle shift. It was a quiet, ordinary evening in a small suburban neighborhood. But for Emma, Michael, and Lily, it felt like the start of something bigger. Something that wouldn't be loud or dramatic, but deeply personal, emotional, and transformative. The way trust, care, and quiet attention could shift a person's world was mesmerizing. Emma understood then that sometimes simply being there to help and watching someone grow from support was enough to change lives. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but she felt ready to witness it. Monday morning arrived with a soft hum of early traffic and sunlight filtering through light clouds. Emma woke early, feeling an unusual mix of anticipation and calm. The weekend had left her with more questions than answers. Yet the questions weren't unsettling. They were curious, alive, a kind of emotional energy she hadn't felt in years. Michael had gone back to work, and Lily's house across the street was quiet. But Emma knew that wasn't the whole story. She could sense that small changes had begun in Lily's life, and perhaps unexpectedly in hers too. It was a quiet thrill, realizing how something so simple as helping someone could create ripples in her own emotions. By mid-morning, Michael returned home briefly for lunch, carrying a few items from Lily's house she hadn't finished moving. He placed the boxes on the counter and smiled. "She's really getting the hang of things," he said. Emma leaned against the counter, pretending to be casual, though her eyes betrayed her curiosity. "How's she doing?" "Better than I expected," Michael said, thoughtfully. "She's more organized, more confident, but she's also reflective. She talks about small things that matter a lot to her. You know, the moments she wouldn't normally share with anyone else." Emma nodded, feeling that familiar tug of quiet fascination. She realized she wasn't just interested in Lily's progress. She was interested in the emotional space that was growing between them, in the subtle ways human connection could unfold when nurtured with patience and kindness. After lunch, Emma decided to take a small walk around the neighborhood. The air was crisp, carrying the faint scent of freshly cut grass and distant coffee shops. She noticed Lily's porch light on again, though it was daytime, a small lamp that seemed to mark presence, intention, and comfort. Emma paused at the sidewalk, watching Lily arrange a few potted plants, tilting them carefully to catch the sunlight. Emma felt her chest tighten, not jealousy, not envy, but a deep, quiet admiration. The way Lily moved, careful yet confident, spoke of someone slowly reclaiming herself. Emma realized she had been holding her breath during these past days, watching subtle growth unfold, feeling emotions ripple within her she hadn't recognized before. Later that afternoon, Michael returned to help Lily with some heavier furniture, and Emma observed from the window again, a quiet witness to the ordinary miracle of trust and guidance. Lily looked calmer, more centered, but occasionally she paused to think, her brow furrowed slightly. A reminder that transformation was a process. Michael's steady presence seemed to reassure her without dominating the space. He offered advice, joked lightly, and allowed her decisions to take the lead. Emma felt a soft warmth in her chest, realizing she had been underestimating the importance of simply being there for someone else. This was about witnessing care in action, not interfering. And the emotional intimacy of that experience was quietly intoxicating as the afternoon waned. Lily stopped for a moment, breathing in slowly, smiling faintly at a shelf she had finally set up. Michael leaned against the wall, watching her, and Emma felt the faintest pang of emotion and acknowledgement that watching someone grow, supported by someone you trust, could feel surprisingly personal. Lily looked at Michael and said something soft, almost inaudible, but Emma caught the gesture of gratitude and relief. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't exaggerated. It was simple, quiet, human. Emma realized she had been waiting to witness this, the moment when patience, care, and trust combined to make someone feel less alone. Evening fell, and Emma prepared dinner while Michael returned home one last time that day. He set the boxes down, smiling with quiet satisfaction. "She's more settled than I thought she would be in just a few days," he said. Emma nodded, feeling her chest swell. "She seems lighter," she said, "like she's finally letting herself breathe." Michael agreed, noting how Lily had started arranging her books, setting personal touches, and even laughing more freely. Emma felt an unexpected thrill at these small victories, realizing that the act of helping someone, simply being present, could be more emotionally stirring than any grand gesture. Later that night, after Lily had gone inside and the porch light dimmed, Emma and Michael sat quietly together. Emma felt a mixture of reflection and satisfaction, and Michael seemed contemplative as well. "I think she trusts us," Michael said softly. "She feels safe, and I think she believes she can handle things now." Emma nodded, her thoughts tracing the emotional journey of the past days. It wasn't about romance, it wasn't about attachment, but about the intimacy of witnessing growth, the subtle power of presence and understanding. She realized that she had been drawn not just to the act of helping, but to the unfolding human story itself, the quiet, emotional thread connecting them all. Emma couldn't stop thinking about how ordinary moments could carry extraordinary weight. Lily had unpacked boxes, arranged furniture, set up her home. But she had also begun unpacking herself, her fears, her hesitations, her small vulnerabilities. Michael had been there to guide, support, and encourage without taking control. And Emma had been there to witness, feeling emotions ripple quietly but intensely inside her. It struck her that sometimes simply watching, simply being present, could be transformative in ways words couldn't capture. As night fell and the street lights flickered on, Emma stood by the window again. Lily's small porch lamp glowed warmly, a symbol of new beginnings, small victories, and the delicate power of human connection. Emma understood then that this wasn't the end. It was a beginning not of drama, not of overt romance, but of trust, care, and subtle emotional growth that could shape lives quietly but deeply. She realized she had been a part of something meaningful, even if only as a silent observer. And she felt ready for the days ahead, ready to watch the next chapter unfold. Fully present, fully alive, and deeply aware of the quiet magic of simple human kindness.